Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing a vlog style video. So this is the first reading vlog I've ever done. I've done a writing vlog once before, so I've only done a vlog one other time before, and that was a writing one. This one is a reading one, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of share with you my thoughts and opinions as I finally get to Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. I am finally getting started on this one. I've reread all the other books and I'm finally ready for Kingdom of Ash. That's a lie, I'm not ready because I'm afraid of who's going to die in this one. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to read it. So, I really love the cover on here. So this is how it looks under the dust jacket. And I was just like, this is so cool. I love that. So, I'm going to share with you guys just like, you'll get to see my reactions and thoughts as I read through this. So just be warned, obviously, there's going to be spoilers all throughout this vlog, because obviously I'm going to be talking about what's happening in the book as I'm reading it. So yeah, if you haven't read Kingdom of Ash yet and you don't want to be spoiled, do not watch this. This is your fair warning. If you continue, I'm going to assume you've read it or you're okay with spoilers. So normally when I read, I like listening to the audiobook while I'm reading along in the physical book. So I do have the audiobook on my phone right here. So I'm going to be listening to that while I read this. So I've been doing it this way for almost 2 years now, I think. Most of my books I listen to audio while I read as well. And I feel like I just get through books so much faster this way. So, yeah. Let's get into it. I will say, before I dive into this, I haven't really been making predictions in terms of what I think is going to happen in this book. Because obviously throughout this whole series, whatever I thought might happen has just things have completely thrown me off, and there's been huge twists and reveals. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm not making any major predictions. But I will make one sort of prediction, and it has to do with Aelin and Dorian. So if you guys have not read, well, if you're watching this, you should have read Kingdom of Ash up to this point. So if you guys remember in, what was it, Empire of Storms, I think, we found out that, we found out when Aelin is going to have to die in order to defeat the Fog Kings. But we found out that she might not be the only one. Both Aelin and Dorian have the power to defeat the Fog Kings, but of course that would mean they have to sacrifice themselves and die in order to defeat the Vikings. But they are the only two at this point who can do that. So I was trying to think about which one of them is going to end up sacrificing themselves and dying. Because I think, most of us thought it would be Aelin, because that was, she was the one that we were told about from the early on that she would be the one that has to, like, sacrifice herself or whatever. But then we found out that Dorian could possibly be the one to defeat the Vikings as well. So I think I'm just kind of predicting my thoughts here. But I think Dorian is going to be the one that ends up dying. I feel like Dorian maybe has a little bit less to lose, which is why I kind of think he might be the one to sacrifice himself. Because, I mean, he's lost his family already. He killed his dad. His girlfriend, Sorsha, was executed in front of him. And I know now he's got this, like, sort of relationship getting started with Manon, but it isn't, like, it's not really fully developed, and at this point, it's really just physical and sexual. So I feel like he's got less to lose, maybe, than Aelin. So I kind of think maybe that's why he'll be the one to die. But I don't know. I could be wrong. There is also the possibility, which I thought of, but I would not want this to happen, but there is also the possibility that they come up with some sort of loophole. They find some sort of loophole, and no one ends up dying. So, I do not want this to be the case, because we are in the middle of an epic battle brewing here. This is like, it's the final book, so it's like the final showdown, the final battle scene. We are at war here. People are supposed to die. That's what happens when you're in a war. There are casualties. As much as we would love for all of our favorite characters to make it home safely, there's some people that unfortunately are going to have to be sacrificed in order for it to be, one, realistic, and two, meaningful. Like, the stakes are high. There's a lot of risk involved. We should feel that risk, which means we're probably going to have characters die. And as much as that will suck, it stinks to lose a favorite character, it's part of the story. It's what makes the stakes actually feel real, feel high. And so, those are kind of my predictions. I don't know who else besides. Obviously, I do think more people than just Dorian will end up dying. I don't know who else will. At this point, I think the only characters I would really, really have a hard time saying goodbye to or letting go of would be Aelin and Lysandra. Maybe Rowan. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with Rowan. But definitely Aelin and Lysandra are the two that I would really hate to see anything happen to them. All the other characters, don't get me wrong, I love the other characters in here, but I think after rereading the first 6 books in the series, I kind of started to detach myself from characters because I'm like, oh, I have a feeling something's going to happen. Like when I was reading Empire of Storms and I was reading about Adian and Lysandra. Like, I love Adian and Lysandra. I love them together. But I was reading their scenes and their parts, and I was just like, ooh, I have a feeling Aiden might not make it through this. I don't know. Kind of nervous for him. Like, I want my Sandra to be happy, but if I have to lose one of them, I'd rather lose Aiden and keep Lysandra. It's just me. We'll see. Maybe this will end up surprising me. And, okay. Minor spoiler alert for Avengers Endgame. So if you haven't seen Endgame yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Get on that, like, now. But, minor spoiler for Endgame. So, in Endgame, Iron Man and Black Widow were the only two out of the whole movie that died. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was so, like, I was sad, but I was also relieved. Because I thought we were going to lose way more characters than just two. Like, I love both of their characters. I was sad that they had to die. But in the grand scheme of things, I was preparing to lose a lot more characters. And the fact that we only lost two of them, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I mean, not great, because still we lost two. But compared to how many I thought we were going to lose, like I thought we were going to lose Iron Man, I was for sure scared that we were going to lose Thor. And Thor is one of my favorites. And so, especially when Thanos had the axe coming right at Thor, I was terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna lose Thor. I'm not ready for this. But we did it. And I was so happy about that. So, who knows? Maybe we'll only lose two characters in this book. So, I feel like I'm not gonna get that lucky, but I can hope. So, here's hoping that Kingdom of Ash will be like Avengers Endgame, and I won't lose too many characters. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so I'm still pretty early on in the beginning. I'm on page 22. And right now I'm at the part where Lysandra just arrived at the house where Evangeline has been staying, and she's reunited with them. And her and Adian have a lot of tension right now because of, Lysandra pretending to be Aelin right now and lying to Adian. And so right here, because of all the tension that's going on between Lysandra and Adian and this fight that they had and this kind of breaking them apart, their relationship apart, because of all that going on, I'm now even more convinced that one of them is going to die. And I am hoping it's not Lysandra, because I really like Lysandra. Adian, I'm okay with this character, but if he had to die, I'd be okay with that. So, just hoping we get to keep Lysandra, especially because, she has Evangeline to look out for now. And I kind of want her to be there to be able to help Evangeline as she gets older. So, if one of them's gonna die, I'm just hoping it's not Lysandra. But I'm convinced one of them is gonna die. Okay, so I am on chapter 10. I am 100 pages in, and I'm just at the part where Aelin is on the floor crying, and Fenris is pulling out shards of glass from her legs, because, Karen, of course, pushed her down into, I guess there was glass around, until she got glass all on into her feet and her legs, and so Fenris is taking them out right now. Maeve allowed him to take them out, and she's there and she's crying, and not because of the pain or torture that she's going through. She's crying because Maeve just told her that she got word that Aelin, Lysandra, who's pretending to be Aelin, is with Rowan and Adian and the rest of the crew, and they're heading towards Terrasen. They're going back to their home in Terrasen. And so Aelin is kind of like, she at the moment is conflicted, because she's like, she told Rowan to, protect her people and, do this for her. But a part of her was still hoping and wishing that Rowan would come after her, that he would come rescue her from Maeve. And so right now she believes, that they're all on their way to Terrasen, and so he is not coming for her. He's not coming to rescue her. And so she is kind of broken down and crying about that. And at this point, I'm just like, seriously, Aelin, like, do you not know your husband by now? You guys are supposed to be mates. You're supposed to be Karanon, or however you say that word. Like, do you really think Rowan is going to leave you to Maeve to be tortured on end? Like, seriously, come on. I would have never believed Maeve for a second. Like, have some common sense. You know Rowan. You know how much he loves you. He is not going to leave you to Maeve for torture for who knows how long. So, common sense, the guy's coming to get you. He's not there yet, but he's coming to get you. So, I was just like, ye of little faith, Aelin, little faith. But yeah, that's where I'm at so far. I think I'm going to take a break for now. I am going to stop right here for now on chapter 10. And I'm going to get dinner. And then maybe a little bit later on, I will come back this evening and read some more. I do have... So today's Sunday, so I typically watch Supergirl with my brother on Sunday nights, and we are just like 2 episodes left to the finale for Supergirl, so definitely gonna be watching that tonight. So I think I'm gonna take a break, eat dinner. By then, Supergirl will probably be recording. So I'll probably watch that first and then come back and read some more. So I will see you guys in a bit. Hey guys, so I wanted to give a quick update of where I'm at in Kingdom of Ash. So I said in my the last clip you probably saw, I said that I was around 100 pages in and I was going to eat dinner and then after dinner get back to Kingdom of Ash. That did not happen. I ended up having dinner and ended up catching up on some of my shows that I've been behind on, and then watching the finale of Supergirl, and so didn't get back to reading this. And then I was going to the next day, and I just ended up in a huge reading slump and did not pick up anything for a while. Um, so it is now Saturday, so it's almost been a week since I started Kingdom of Ash, and I finally picked it up again. I've been in like a week long reading slump and haven't read much. Tried to get into, I tried to read a little bit of Nevernight to kind of get out of my slump, and I read about 24-25 pages into it. And it's good so far, but I just was still kind of in a slump. So hadn't read much of anything else till now. So here we are now, Saturday night, finally getting back to Kingdom of Ash. So I am a little bit over 300 pages into this, into Kingdom of Ash, and oh my gosh, so much has happened in these last 200 pages since I last read it. So Fenris, when I read that scene where he broke the blood oath to Maeve to save Aelin, I was like, yes! Oh my gosh, yes! I got so super excited when I saw that scene. I was like, what? He's actually doing it? Yes! And then she escapes and she gets back to Rowan and the others. It's like, yes, finally. I kept thinking, like, Rowan, you need to hurry up and get there already. And, but of course she escapes and makes it back, and Rowan comes back. And then when Rowan went back to find Karen, and he ends up killing Karen, I was like, oh, okay. It's like, you had that coming. And then when Rowan goes back to kill Karen, it's like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good. And oh my gosh, so much happens. I'm pissed at Adrian. I am so mad at Adrian for, like, I get that he's upset, I get that he's scared, but to take out his fear and anger out on Lysandra, I was just like, dude, I wanted to smack him. It's like, you do not deserve her. Like, yeah, in Empire of Storm, I thought they were cute. I thought they were kind of cute together, but now just the way he is and the way he's acting towards her, I'm like, you do not deserve her at all. And she is doing her best to keep this army together and to fight alongside by your side, and all you can do is complain that she schemed with Aelin to pretend to be Aelin. Like, hello, this was all Aelin's plan from the beginning. It's not like Lysandra came up with this plan. So I'm mad at Aiden and how he's acting. And then I'm at the part where Dorian and Manon and the other witches arrive in Earway and find almost everyone's dead. There's like a couple survivors, but most everyone is dead, and they are like, they kind of regret delaying their delay to get to Earway. So we'll see what happens with them. Honestly, I'm not super interested in that storyline. Like, I know it's important to the overall story. I know it's gonna tie in later on, and they're gonna be important to, the main final battle. But just right now, I'm not really that into the storyline with Manon and Dorian, and the witches and stuff. I'm just kind of like, okay, I have to read your chapter just to get through this part, but I'm more interested in what's going on with Aelin and Rowan and the others, and Adian and Lysandra and the army. Oh, and the other part was Fenris. So he now swore the blood oath to Aelin. And I was just like, damn, oh my gosh. Maeve is going to flip out. And I cannot wait to see Maeve's reaction when she finds out what happens. When she finds out Aelin escaped, Karen is dead, and Fenris broke the blood oath, and not only that, he swore another blood oath to Aelin. I cannot wait for her to find out all of that, because, oh my gosh, she is going to flip, and I can't wait to see what happens with that. And then when Maeve is like torturing Aelin, and she's like telling her the story of how like she escaped her world and came to theirs and like tried to escape her husband and his brothers and all that. She tries to make herself out to be some kind of victim. But I was like, really? The way you are, like, no, you do not get to play the victim here. So I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what would be more interesting, because I'm kind of like, what would be better for Aaron? I never know how to say these names, how to pronounce these names. Even though I listen to the audiobook, I still can't pronounce these names. Erwan, the Vol King. You know who I mean. But I'm wondering what would happen if he found out who Maeve really is. That Maeve is his wife. Like, I'm wondering what would happen then. What would he do? Would he just drag her back to their world? Would he try to kill her? Like, I'm good for either choice, really. Like, I'm good with them doing whatever with her either way. But, yeah, I just wonder what he would do. So, yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at now. I need to get to bed soon because I'm going to be getting up early tomorrow morning. But, hoping I can get through a good chunk of this tomorrow. I feel like reading these last 200 pages really helped me to get over my reading slump that I was in. Because I was like, for the whole week, I just couldn't bring myself to pick this up. Then when I finally did, I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did, because it is so freaking awesome, and it keeps getting better and better. And so, hoping I can knock out a good chunk tomorrow. We'll see. So, yeah, I will update you guys again tomorrow. So, I am halfway through this now. I am on page 503, chapter 59. So, I just got to the part where Lorcan is on the battlefield fighting all these Vogs, and he ends up falling. He gets stabbed. I don't know if he's dead. They just said, he was stabbed and he fell, and then there was darkness, so maybe he's injured but not dead, I'm thinking, because I feel like if he had died, I think we would have known for certain. But I think when it's written this way, it's kind of like, okay, maybe he's not quite dead yet. So yeah, and I'm just so before all this happened, I don't remember how many chapters ago now, but several chapters ago, a lead and Lorcan are talking, and she tells them, what, she doesn't, she's so angry and pissed at him. She tells him, I don't care if you walk off that battlefield. And I'm just like, would you guys stop? I'm like, the same thing with Adian. Adian was stupid with what he said and how he treated Lysandra, and now a lead with what she's saying. Granted, a lead has not been as bad, nowhere near as bad as Adian, in terms of how, he treated Lysandra and how she's treating Lorcan. She's nowhere near as bad as Adian, but I'm still just I know deep down you still love him. So don't be saying stuff you're gonna regret. Because, if something happens you're in the middle of a war, people. People die. It's a war. People are gonna die. And so I know you're going to end up saying something you regret, and then they're gonna get hurt or possibly die, and then you're gonna be like, oh, damn, why the hell did I say that? I didn't mean that. Why did I treat them this way? I should have been better. And granted, Lorcan, we've seen how Lorcan was in the other books, and he is no saint by any means. Lorcan was horrible in the beginning, so not to paint Lorcan as this complete innocent victim, he has his faults, and, he's done terrible things in the past, so I'm not trying to make him seem like some angel or anything. But, he genuinely feels bad about the mistake he made with Aelin and Maeve. yeah, he should have never called Maeve over here. Aelin would have probably never been captured if he hadn't summoned Maeve. But, he made a mistake. He genuinely felt bad about it. He tried to make up for it. It's like, I don't know. And maybe I look at this differently because I tend to forgive really easily, especially when, I can see they are genuinely remorseful and, regret what they've done and are trying to make amends for it, trying to make up for it. So I don't know if maybe that's why I'm just kind of like, a lead, you shouldn't have said what you said, and you're gonna regret it, and, can't you try to maybe forgive him eventually? I don't know. I'm just like, you people need to watch what you be saying, because if he does die, she is going to regret what she said big time. I don't think he will die. Because I feel like if he was going to die, they would have shown it more definitively in that scene. And the fact that they didn't, I don't think he's going to die. But she's still going to regret what she said big time. Now, Aelin, everything going back to, let's talk about Aelin coming back, and they are defending Ardalan, and Aelin, she's coming out on the battlefield and all her, in this armor and stuff, and she's like coming out swinging and taking down these folks, and I'm just like, yes, even without her magic, even without her fire, just like, she's still awesome, even without it. But I kind of wonder, like, when that will come up again, like, when she's going to deal with that trauma, that fear of not being able to use her fire. Because she went through a lot. 2 months with Maeve and Karen torturing her. She's been through a lot, and they burned her and healed her and burned her, and all the hallucinations and illusions and things that, Maeve tried to get her to believe was real, but then wasn't real. Just like, she's been through a lot. I'm surprised she's not showing more symptoms of PTSD than she is. Like, she does show symptoms of PTSD currently. She does have some of that. But I'm surprised it's not a lot worse, because she went through a lot with them. But yeah, so much goes down so far in just this first half of the book. And now Aelin and Rowan and everyone know about Maeve and her being the Fall Queen. And oh my gosh, I did not even stop to think about, what it meant for Rowan and the other Fae princes to be blood sworn to Maeve. Now that they realized she wasn't even Fae to begin with, she was a Fall Queen. And it's like, wow, that just goes to show you the depth of her power. Like, her power was so strong to be able to convince Rowan and the others that her blood was Fae, not Vogue. And yeah, it's just crazy. But it also makes me wonder, like, okay, so first off, does Maeve have any other Fae warriors that are bloodsworn to her? Because I think at this point, is everyone who was bloodsworn to her broken? Because Lorcan isn't, Rowan isn't. Fenris broke his bloodsworn to her. And she killed Fenris's brother. Karen is dead. So, does she have anyone else who's bloodsworn to her at this point? I don't think she does. But either way, my other thing is with the Fae that are fighting for Maeve, that are fighting on Maeve's side, I wonder if there's a way that they can convince those Faes that are fighting on her side that she's not actually a Fae. She's the Vault Queen. Like, I'm wondering if there's a way to convince them of that so that maybe they turn on Maeve. As if they can convince her she's not one of them, she's not really a Fae, she's the Vault Queen, then, all of her whole Fae army and everyone would turn against her and she'd not have anyone. So I'm wondering if there's some way that they could do that. I don't know. I'm like halfway through this book and I have no idea how things are going to go down. I have no idea what is going to happen next. There's just so much. And then, things are still happening with Manon and the witches. So now Manon, I've gotten to the part where Manon is the queen of the witches. Like, she's earned the respect of the Kraken. Is that you say? Yeah. She's earned the respect of the Krakens, and now she's the leader of the Krakens and the Iron Witch clan. So she's like queen of the witches. And I'm just like, oh, and that fight scene with her, with Manon and the three matrons, including her grandmother, I was like, yes, I've been waiting for this. Like, I've been waiting for Manon to, have a redo of her fight with her grandmother. I want to see her take down her grandmother. But of course, she kills one of the matrons, and the other two, including her grandmother, leave. They run away. And I'm just like, wanted to see her take her down so bad. Yeah, what else happened? There's just so much that happened in here. Dorian, it seems like at this point, he's kind of on a suicide mission, and it seems like he's okay with that, which is why I think he'll probably die. I don't know. For sure, we'll have to wait and see, but the guy's on a suicide mission, and I think he's okay with that, so we'll see what happens. There's a lot that can still happen. I still have another almost 500 pages. Oh my gosh, I'm on page 503, and this is I think 980 pages or something. So I'm still almost another 500 pages to go. But, so yeah, a lot can happen in this last half. I'm sure a lot will happen in this last half. I think that's probably it for now. It's 5:15. I'm gonna keep reading. I'm gonna see how far I can get by tonight. On page 663, chapter 79. So I'm at the part where the last chapter I just read was where Dorian um, Dorian escapes with the third ward key. So he was working with Maeve, or pretending to work with Maeve, and basically tricked her into distracting Erewhon so he can find the third word key. And he got it, and he basically escaped and left her in Morath with the building basically crumbling all around her. So, good stuff. Good stuff. I will say, okay, so what I thought was going to happen did happen. So I mentioned in an earlier clip, like, I wonder if, I had said, I wonder if Aelin and Rowan and them can convince the Fays that are following Maeve that she is actually a Vogue Queen and have them turn against her. And they actually did that. Although I feel like it was easier done than I would have expected. Like, I don't know. Aelin was just like, yeah, I sent some letters out telling them Maeve is Vogue. And I was like, wait, and they believed her just like that? Like, she was like, yeah, it was strongly worded. I'm like, come on now. So I was just a little surprised that it happened that easily. I was like expecting them to have to show some kind of proof to back up their claim. I was thinking, because, I mean, I'm sure the Fae that were under Maeve, I'm sure they've been following her for a long time. I mean, Lorcan has been with her for, 500 years? So I'm sure a lot of them have been following her for a long time. So I was expecting more pushback from them and more people to be like, more of the Fae to be like, why should we believe you? Like, we've served Maeve for this long. Why should we believe you about her now? Like, I don't know. I was just expecting more of a pushback on that. But it's cool that they got her own army to turn against her. Easier to take her down now. Now they just really got to deal with Erewhon and his army, which now that Dorian has all 3 award keys, guessing he's going to be forging that lock pretty soon. So, we'll see how all this goes down. I'm excited. It's getting super interesting. I've got I don't know, 200 something, almost 300 pages left. Getting towards the end, and I'm excited. So hopefully I can finish this tomorrow. Hey guys, so it's Monday afternoon now, or evening. It's 7:20, so I have been reading for a bit. I've gotten up to page 760 something. And I'm at the part where Aelin and Rowan are arguing about her forging the lock, using the keys to forge the lock. Because obviously if she does, it'll kill her. And they just put it to a vote whether or not they should use the keys now or wait till they get to Orinth. And most of them voted to use it now. So Aelin is, by the morning, she's going to have to use the keys to forge a lock. And of course, Rowan doesn't want her to do that. So they're arguing about it. And of course, Dorian had offered to forge the lock because his blood um, is able to do it as well since he comes from the same line. So he would be able to forge the lock as well. And he offered, but Aelin kind of refuses to let him do it. She doesn't want to have that guilt on her of having her friend sacrifice himself. So, of course, she's going to be the one to sacrifice herself. But I wanted to jump on here real quick to say, like, okay, here's my thinking is instead of, instead of both of them being like, Aelin has to do it or Dorian has to do it, whatever, why not have them both forge the lock? Because here's my thinking. So if one of them were to forge the lock, we know that it would take so much power and energy out of them that it would kill them. But if they both forged it together, I'm thinking that maybe neither one of them would die if they both forged it together. Because rather than draining all the power and energy out of one person, the lock could drain power and energy, half of it from Dorian, half of it from Aelin, and, forge it that way, and they both would still survive because it doesn't drain all of them. So that's my thinking. That's why I'm like, why hasn't no one else thought of this already? Why hasn't no one else suggested this? Especially since we know that both of them are capable of forging the lock. So why does it have to be one or the other? Why not they both do it together? I mean, there is always that slight other possibility that if they both do it together, it'll still drain all of the powers from both of them, and then they would both just be dead. But I don't think that would happen. I honestly don't think that would happen. So I think if they were to work together to do this, I think they would both survive it. And I'm hoping that's what happens. I'm hoping they will figure this out in the end. But right now, I'm just like, why hasn't anyone thought of this yet? It makes the most logical sense, yet no one has come up with this. So, hopefully, before the time comes, one of them will wisen up and be like, hey, let's do this together. Okay, guys, so I finally finished Kingdom of Ash late last night. So I waited till today, this afternoon, to kind of gather my final thoughts to film this. So I finished it like around 11:15 last night, and oh my gosh, so there's a lot that happens at the end. There's a lot that goes down. There's a lot with the fight scenes with Erwin, with Maeve and Erwin, and all of the characters. It was interesting. I'm gonna try to gather my thoughts as best as I can. I didn't really write down any notes, so I'm going off of memory, which means I may end up rambling and jumping around different parts. So hopefully I can not ramble too much and not jump around too much. So let's see. The first thing I will talk about is, the first thing I'll mention is I was expecting more deaths in here. and we really didn't get that many. And none of the main characters, none of the core characters died, and that was a little disappointing. And it's not that I want to see my favorite characters die. Um, I don't, but at the same time, I guess I kind of do because I'm like, it's a war. It's not realistic for every single one of them to make it out okay. Like, it's a war. Like, especially for something that's supposed to be so high stakes. And we've been building up to this for 6 books. This is the 7th book. And it's supposed to be such high stakes. And none of the main core characters die. But like I said, it's just not realistic for everyone to make it out okay. And that brings me to talk about one of the characters that actually did die, Gabrielle. So Gabrielle's death, I thought was unnecessary. The scene where he sacrifices himself, I felt like he really didn't need to sacrifice himself at that moment. I kind of feel like this was an easy way for the author to be like, well, I should probably have more characters die, so we'll just kill him off in this scene. But I didn't feel like his death, where it was in that scene, what had happened, was necessary. He didn't have to die then. Now, aside from his death, the only other deaths we really have in here are the 13, but the 13, the Manon's 13, that sacrificed themselves, those are really the only other deaths that we really see in here. My only thing with the sacrifice of the 13th is I really didn't connect with her 13 witches. I mean, I like Astrian, her second. I like her, but I didn't really feel like much of a connection with the 13 witches. So when they sacrificed themselves and died, I was just kind of like, okay, I guess it's sad. I feel bad for Manon. Other than that, I really didn't feel anything. So I just wish we would have gotten some more meaningful character deaths in here. And the thing is, you really don't have to kill characters off left and right, you know? This doesn't have to be Game of Thrones where you're killing off everyone. But a couple character deaths here and there would make it more meaningful. You know, for example, I don't want to spoil anything because it's still new out there, but Avengers Endgame, right? Obviously, we know people are going to die in Endgame. You know, in Endgame, I was expecting more people to die than what actually did. But I was okay with having the few that died. I was okay with it because their deaths were meaningful. It didn't feel unnecessary, or, you know, their deaths had a big impact. They had meaning, and these were characters that we actually cared about. These were characters that we loved. They weren't like small side characters or supporting characters. That's what made those scenes more powerful and more meaningful. And with this, I think, you know, like I said, you don't have to kill off everyone, but if you had a couple just well thought out, meaningful deaths, I think it would have made much more of an impact. So that was my biggest thing about the ending, but I still loved it. I really enjoyed it. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Um, like I said, it probably would have gotten a full 5 stars if we had those more meaningful deaths. But, you know, I still really enjoyed it. I liked the ending. I liked how it wrapped up. I will say it is a little bit long, a little bit too long. I feel like this should have been shorter. And I think part of the reason why it's so long is we get so many point of views in this book, and I'm just like, do we really need all of this? Like, I feel like we should have gotten point of views from 3 main groups. Aelin was by herself trapped with Maeve in the beginning, so it makes sense to have her separate. But then when she joined up with the Rowan and the others, we should have just had their one perspective for their group, and then one perspective for Manon and Dorian and the witches, their group. And then the third group was Kale and Nesrin and Irene and Sertak. Their whole group would have been with. So I kind of see this as like, there were actually, no, maybe four perspectives, yeah. Because there was one more with Aedion and Lysandra and their army fighting. So their group perspective. So I feel like, you know, rather having all these characters, all these different perspectives from all these different characters, if they were to follow like this one group and then this one group, like I feel like it would have cut down way more. And I do think this should have been way shorter. It's super long, almost 1,000 pages, and some parts does feel like it drags on a bit. The ending wrapped up, and all of the characters we see, they all of the couples are together at the end. Even the ones that were fighting for a while during this, they made up and got back together in the end. Aelin is crowned queen. They have her coronation. Alid and Lorcan are engaged, and I think was Lysandra and Aedion engaged too. I think they were engaged by the end of this as well. I can't remember for sure. But yeah, all the couples are pretty much together. Aelin's queen and she's ruling with Rowan, and I will say this does give you some really good closure. Everything ends really well. There's no like questions that are left open or up in the air really. So I do feel like this was a good ending and a good conclusion to the story. I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. There's probably more that I could talk about that I'm just blanking on right now. This is what happens when I try to film a review without notes in front of me. This is the first time I've actually done a review, I think, without notes in front of me. So yeah, I'm probably going to be forgetting stuff at the end that I probably should talk about. But, like I said, overall, I enjoyed it. 4.5 stars. So now to edit all these different clips for this vlog. I don't know if I'm going to be doing many reading vlogs because I'm just like, I hate editing. And now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, there's so many clips that I need to edit and put together. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing many more of these. But let me know. Talk to me in the comments and let me know. Obviously, if you've watched this vlog, then obviously I'm sure you've read Kingdom of Ash. Otherwise, you're okay with huge spoilers. So let me know in the comments below what your thoughts were on this book, on the ending, the end of the series. What were your overall thoughts? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye.